Hi, and thanks so much for joining in. I'm Anna Hellman, and today I want to share with you the card swap I took on my Maui incentive trip. So if you are watching this video when it is released, I am in Maui right now, hopefully, as long as I pass that COVID test to get there. And I get to swap cards and 3D projects with other demonstrators there. So I will be excited to get back, share some of those projects with you that I've gotten from other demonstrators. Today I want to share with you the card project I made to swap with other demonstrators. So what we need is a 3 7/8 by 5.5 piece of white cardstock, card base measuring 5.5 by 8.5, that is Pacific Point. This is a little tag I created with our new Scallop Contours dies, which I love and I've been using a ton, and a couple of pieces of ribbon. So we're going to start with this piece of white cardstock. And I am going to use a little bit of tape to hold this in place. So I've got some washi tape. Sometimes some of this tape likes to tear my paper. So here's a little tip. If you have tape you want to use that tears your paper, you can either put it on your skin and pull it off, and it'll have a little bit of oils from your skin, or on your clothes as well will help it to pick up a little bit of lint and not be so sticky. So we are going to do some masking. Let me show you the end result of what I want to create here, and it is this. So we are going to put down some of our fern die cuts, and keep in mind these that I'm going to show you have been very well used, because this is my very last of my card swaps to create, and I have used these about 26 times already. So I have created these die cuts, then I turn them over on the back side, and I sponged some multi-purpose glue on the back. I'm going to show you a similar technique here in a couple of minutes for how to sponge that on. So I sponged it on, I let it dry, and we have what we see here. Now I want to do some masking. I want to mask off the sides of the cardstock so that they don't get any ink on them when I use my blending brush to add all that pretty blue ink. So I am going to use some of these big post-it notes. Now you can use tape, you can use notebook paper, and just use a little tape to hold it in place. I really like to do this on my mat here or with my grid paper because it allows me to keep everything straight. So when I tape my cardstock onto my mat, I want to make sure it's straight. Now I want to make sure that these papers are straight, and I can use those grid lines to do just that. So get this lined up straight, not crooked. And this one I want over farther, so we'll move it. So see if you notice I'm lining it up with this particular grid line at the top and at the bottom, so I know it's straight. Now I am going to add a little bit of tape down here to hold those down because these post-it notes just have sticky at the top. Now, since these are still a little bit sticky on the back, I am going to go ahead and place them down. Their sticky has worn off since they have been so well used, but I think we can still make these work. So give them a good press. I have a couple little ones back here I'll add in. And I have one more, but I think I'm going to leave it just like that. So now I need my Pacific Point ink and my blending brush. And I want to pick up some of that ink. I want to get some of it off on the excess paper so that when I move on to my white cardstock, I don't get too dark of a color all in one spot. So we will just repeat this a few times until I get enough color on there. So you can make these really light, really soft and pretty, or you can add a lot of color, make them really dark and rich. However you like. The way I did it, I like the darker areas in some spots and lighter areas in some spots. So I'm going to go with that. So let's remove all these papers, and like I said, you can keep using these. See how they're still sticky? You can use those over and over and over again. And if you really want them to be durable, you could actually make them out of window sheets or something, or cardstock. I actually made these out of designer paper, but you can make them out of something that's a little bit more durable if you want to use them for a long time. So remove my Post-it notes. When I did this, I reused my same papers over and over and over again. So that's nice that you can do that. And there you can see those really pretty results. Now let's assemble the rest of the card. So we'll bring in the card base. We'll attach this to the front. And before we do that, I completely forgot. I can't do that yet. So there's an extra technique that I just was going to skip over. And that technique is, switch this one back out, to use some of our gilded leafing. It has been a little while since I've used some of our gilded leafing in a project, and it is so neat. If you haven't seen this, if you haven't seen my video I did on this, I'm going to link you to that here. There are a lot of techniques in this video that are really neat that you can try with this. So you can add just beautiful gold accents to your projects. So let me show you what I want to do. I am going to use a mask here and a sponge. I told you I was going to show you a technique with sponging glue. So here I have my silicone craft sheet. Put some glue out. Grab an old sponge. Doesn't have to be a new one. It's going to be ruined after we're done. So, and this one actually has a little bit of ink on it. You can grab one without some ink if you like. And now I want to get glue polka dots on a few areas of this card, not very many. So I'm going to do a few polka dots down here. And on most of these, I did a few polka dots over here. Then you are just going to set this aside and let it dry. Now, the one I have right here is already dry. So I have some sticky glue dots on it. Turn this a little bit. I do not know if you will be able to see them or not, but trust me, there are some sticky dots there. So what I am going to do is grab some of this gilded leafing and rub it over the surface of this piece. And those sticky glue areas are going to collect that gilded leafing. So you can do this a few times. You do want to make sure all those sticky areas are covered. And then you want to brush away the excess. Something I found, if you're wondering why there's a toothbrush right here, is that using a stiff toothbrush can help remove some of that excess around the edges. If you have pieces sticking out that you don't really want to be attached, this will break those off. And once you basically have that done, you can brush it off. Then I'm going to turn it over a trash can and give it a little flick on the back to get those pieces that are still stuck, get those removed. Okay, so here, let's look at that. I just love this gilded leafing, just gives really beautiful accents, and there are so many different ways to use it. So make sure you check out that video where I shared lots and lots of ways. Now you will see on my hands, I do still have some of that attached. So when you're done, you may want to wash your hands to get that off. Okay, so I have that attached. Now I'll add just a little bit of adhesive, and I'm going to lay this piece of mesh ribbon over the top. I'm going to add another little bit of adhesive and add this ribbon, fold it in half. This will all be covered up in just a second, so let's stamp our tag. I have this thanks greeting from the Ornate Thanks stamp set. This is one that I have used a ton. I just love all of these really pretty thanks stamps. So I'll ink up my stamp, stamp it here. Now let's put a couple of dimensionals on the back. And we will basically be done here. Put that right there. So this is basically my swap for my Maui trip. So I look forward to coming back and sharing a lot about it with you. Again, thank you so much for supporting my business. Thanks for watching along with my videos. Hope you have a wonderful day. We'll see you again next time when I will be back helping you to hand make with love.